Hello, my name is Doug Leisure. I wanted to record should be a pretty quick video where I can show you how you would define a fiscal year in my donation software and how you would use it. So before I do that, let's just talk very briefly about a fiscal year. So one of the struggles we have in the United States is that when our business ends in December and we need to create those year-end reports, do all the steps necessary to close out the current year and start up a new year, all of those things happen in December, sometimes starting in November. But what we find is November and December are very, very busy times because of the holidays and because a lot of people are trying to get their vacations in before the year ends. And so we have a lot of trouble being, frankly, productive at that time of the year. So to have to get all of the reports and stop a year, start the new one, it just becomes very problematic. So a solution that a lot of people have done is to define what's called a fiscal year. Rather than my year ending in December, I'm going to define that it starts, let's say, in March, and therefore it ends in the following February. So now I'm working during a kind of a slow time of the year to do all those steps of ending the current year and starting a new one. A very popular one, and that's the one I'll show you in my software, is where the fiscal year begins in October and ends then in the following September. Okay, so in my donation software, we'll go to the parameters, and we have here an identifier that says, or the parameter that says the fiscal year begins on which month. Okay, so I said we're going to define this as a fiscal year beginning in October. So on the drop down, we just simply select the month of October. And so the issue that we need to address next is just simply October of, let's say, October 2025, okay? October 2025, the year begins. So we'll have 3 months in 2025 and then 9 months in 2026. Right, so the majority of the year actually is in 2026. So the question is, what do you call that? What is fiscal year 2025? Is that where the year begins in 2025 or where the year ends in 2025 and also actually ends in 2020? Yeah, it ends in 2025 and the majority of the months are in that year. So we just need a way to define when you say fiscal 2025, what does that mean? So the next question here is just simply the fiscal year number 2025. Is that the same as my calendar year, which means it begins in October of 2025? And if I say no to that, then up here I'm displaying the dates associated with the fiscal year 2025. So now the fiscal year begins in October of 2024. Okay, we're calling it fiscal 2025, even though it starts in 2024, because there's only 3 months in 2024, but there's 9 months in 2025. So, and there's no right or wrong necessarily way of doing it. I just want you to understand that what this next question about, is the fiscal year number the same as the calendar? Yes or no? And how that affects the date range for your fiscal year. So now 2025 fiscal year starts in October 2024, ends in September of 2025. Okay, so that's kind of the methodology of defining it. It's actually pretty simple. I've given you, as you make your changes here, I've given you a thing that shows you what the beginning and ending dates are for your defined fiscal year. Okay, so once we've set that up, the next part of it becomes, where do we want to use the fiscal year? You don't necessarily want to use it everywhere. So an example of that is when we are talking about doing our receipts at the end of the year. Okay, so even though our church or our organization has defined a fiscal year for kind of like the business part of it, the receipts are going to be used for our taxes. And so basically the government defines our taxes to be January through December. So I want to leave the receipts set to use the calendar year. Okay, and that on the receipt then is just calendar year 2025, January through December. Now, there may be a few exceptions out there. In fact, I think the country of New Zealand is an exception where literally the entire country runs on a fiscal year definition, so defined by the government. So in that case, the receipts should be done in in the fiscal year. So again, just use the little drop down there and choose fiscal. And if I come back here and look at the receipts, now they are being displayed for fiscal year 2025, which runs October 2024 through September 2025. So pretty simple and easy to switch back and forth between the fiscal and the calendar, but you do need to define which parts of the software are using fiscal, which are using calendar. So let me just throw that back to calendar because that's, I think, for the majority of us, that's how we would use it. Okay, let's come down and take a look then at the reports. That would be both the report that we pass out monthly and at the end of the year, as well as our 5-year comparison. So let's go ahead and switch that to, let's look at it first. So here it's calendar year 2025, January through December. And if I switch it to fiscal, then you'll see the report. Did I do that right? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot. Reports, sorry, up here. Oh, so sorry about that. Okay, reports, fiscal or calendar. So we're going to set the report to fiscal. And now when we come down and look at it, now it is a fiscal year 2025, October 24 through September 2025. Okay, and same thing with the 5-year report. It's now showing the annual amounts for the prior fiscal years, so October through September. Okay. All right. What else? Okay. Let's switch that back to calendar. And now let's again take a look at the last one, which would be the expenses. So if we switch the expenses to a fiscal year, basically the data that you're entering doesn't change because it's still entered based on a specific date. What changes is over here where the month number and the year is now based on a fiscal definition. The balances will change immediately, the new balance report. So now it's showing it on a fiscal year basis. So this would be your fiscal year opening balance. So that's your October 2024 opening balance. And then it's calculating the current balance at the end of, well, just based on the data that's in there, but it'll go through the end of September 2025 for the balances. On the expense report, this is built using an Excel pivot table, and pivot tables don't update themselves automatically. Kind of a sad little reality of how Excel works, but I did give you a menu item under the donation software to cause the pivot table or if you want to think of it, the expense report itself to be updated, or what Excel calls refreshing the report, or it's refreshing pivot table. So if I just simply refresh the pivot table, it will recreate itself, but this time in a fiscal year definition. So fiscal year 2025, October 24 through September 2025, that's what's being displayed now in our report in this pivot table. And you'll notice then that the first month is now October, the second November, the third December, and January is the fourth period in the fiscal year. Okay. All right. Let's see. We'll put it back again. The calendar and refresh it. And now it's back to a calendar year, January through December. So, all right. Hey, that's really all I needed to cover regarding defining a fiscal year and then using it in my donation software. I'll be making more of these short little videos. I hope you enjoy this one, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.